Okay guys, welcome to another FSX video. Today we will be learning how to pass the Airline Transport Pilot Checkride. I've printed the PDF here of well, we can call it a checklist for the checkride, and to see the failing criteria for all the segments. Yeah, I've pretty much memorized the entire checkride, and let's go ahead and start our simulator, start loading the checkride. So lessons, ATP Checkride here at the bottom. This is the last one. I wouldn't say it's the hardest one. I think the hardest one is the instrument rating checkride, which I also have a video for it. If you haven't checked it, go ahead and search for it in my videos. But yeah, there are a few important points. I will talk you through them as we fly this checkride. For now, let's listen to the examiner.
On this checkride, I'll expect you to fly from Portland, Oregon to Payne Field in Washington, as described in the flight briefing. To earn the Flight Simulator ATP certificate, I'm looking for precision in your flying. Throughout this flight, I'll be paying close attention to the criteria listed in the briefing. Because I'm an examiner, I won't coach you or point out errors along the way. However, at a few checkpoints along the way, I'll announce if you've done well to that point or if you exceeded any tolerances. If you're doing well, I'll give you your next clearance. If you exceed the criteria listed in the briefing, I'll inform you that you've not passed the checkride. At that point, you can choose to continue flying on your own without further evaluation, or you can end the flight. On this flight, I'll monitor air traffic control and give you all of your clearances, but I expect you to tune the navigation radios. Alright, good luck. Your departure instructions are to intercept the 332-degree course to the Olympia VOR. Climb and maintain flight level 280. I want you to level off before you reach 25 DME from the Olympia VOR. Then set cruise power to fly at 300 knots indicated airspeed. Go ahead and configure the aircraft for takeoff. When you're ready, you are cleared for takeoff on runway 28 right.
Okay, so we are free to go. I usually start with this area, so you need to set flaps to 5% or 5 degrees, sorry, and auto brakes to RTO, which is rejected takeoff. And not mandatory but helpful, I set the autopilot N1 to 90%. This will be helpful for our climb segment. And altitude hold switch. So this is all that you need to do in this panel, but very helpful, and I recommend it. Set the altitude hold immediately and vertical speed to about 3,200 feet per minute, and set the runway heading over here, which is our current heading of 284, and click on heading select. Airspeed for our autopilot, sorry, 295 knots, and you can arm the autothrottle immediately. Make sure flight director is on so you can see the crosshairs of the autopilot, and that's about it for this panel. Now let's go to our overhead panel and switch the landing lights to on. That's the only thing that's mandatory in this panel, but I usually like to set the no smoking and fasten seatbelts lights on, and as well the strobe lights and anti-collision lights. Okay, and that's pretty much all that's needed. You have as much time as you need. At this point, she's not waiting for you. You can take your time, make sure everything is set up correctly, and when you're ready, also usually you're supposed to set N1 thrust to 40% and then release parking brakes and track the runway center line, but she's not checking for that, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to set the thrust to 95% N1 more or less, and I'm just going to release the brakes. So here we go. Now you you should pay attention to the airspeed and to the N1 thrust. Don't let it drop too much below 95. So 96. You should avoid exceeding 97. Exceeding 97 is bad. So pay attention to the airspeed now. We're coming up on V1. That's 144. So V1 there, and now rotate. So rotate to 20 degrees. Pitch up attitude. That's it right there. Now positive rate. Gear up, and you can set the autopilot here. With the gear up, you can switch off the auto brakes. Set 1000 feet. You want to set the N1 power, N1 thrust to 90%, and retract flaps. And with the N1 stable, you can go ahead and turn on the N1. And now we just climb for a moment until we're in range of the Olympia VOR. Should be about now. Okay, there we go. Now we turn all the way right to heading of 342, and while we're at it, we can switch this to VOR mode and zoom out so we can see the Olympia VOR. It's right here. And yeah, for now we can relax a couple of minutes. We can look outside and yeah, have a look at this beautiful scenery, which is pretty much default scenery in the US. It looks pretty good actually. We have all the mountains and stuff. Okay, so while we're climbing, we have to pay attention to a couple of things. One of those things is make sure you never exceed a speed of 250 knots. We can increase the N1 to a 91, as this is always a bit below when we're climbing. And yeah, for now just pay attention to the airspeed and make sure you don't exceed 250 knots. And also we want to track the course 332 to the Olympia VOR. So as soon as the needle starts moving towards the center, just pay attention to it and make sure you track it. Yeah. So as you see, speed is creeping up over there. So let's increase our vertical speed to about 4,000. That should be enough to keep it under check. Yeah. Okay, so now we just play the waiting game. And after passing 10,000 feet, you can go ahead and reduce your vertical speed a little, because she won't care about the about your airspeed anymore. You can fly faster than the 250 knots. Okay, that's 10,000 feet. Don't mind the lights, landing lights. So usually above 10,000 feet, you could and should turn off the landing lights and the seat belts. You know, if there's no turbulence. But we're not going to do that. Just she doesn't care, and she doesn't care. We don't care. It's you know, unnecessary workload. So you want to reduce your workload as much as you can in the air, so you don't make so many mistakes. Okay. For now, we just keep climbing like this, and as you can see, the needle is slowly moving towards the center. And now we just have to wait a little bit. I'll take the opportunity to drink a little bit of my coffee. We might be climbing, our airspeed might be a bit too fast here. We can increase our vertical speed a little bit. We also don't want our airspeed to increase too much. You can take the opportunity, you know, we exchange airspeed for vertical speed, so we can climb a bit faster. Also, I wanted to do this check ride with real weather. I might make another video with real weather, but there's a problem with real weather, I think, because, you know, the altimeter settings are different. She doesn't recognize the altitudes. I don't really understand it. I don't know why this happens, but it does. So I'm going to pass the check ride first with just standard atmosphere, and later maybe I'll try to do a video with real weather, which is much more interesting, yeah. You know, the problem is that it will be harder to pass the check ride because she will be failing us a lot of time. Okay, so we're almost tracking the inbound course of 332, the Olympia VOR. Okay, that's close enough. Let's turn to a heading of about 335. Be careful with your airspeed. Try to have it stable at 250 knots. That's a good climb speed for our purpose. Okay, so we intercepted the course quite nicely. Let's turn on VOR lock. Keep watching your airspeed over there. I guess at this point we can just reduce the vertical speed to 1,800 feet. Should be good for a moment. And let's have a look outside, shall we? Looking great. This FSX Team Edition, the performance is pretty good. I get 30, a frame rate of 30 pretty much all of the time, at least with default scenery. As soon as you're starting using add-ons, it suffers a bit. Well, my rig is not fantastic. I have an i5, the 46900K kilo, and my graphics card is not very good, but you know, it's enough for some eye candy. Anyways, where are we? So 5,000 feet to go. I think I'll go ahead and increase our simulation a little bit, just so we don't have to wait too much. So we have to level off at 28,000 feet, at least 25 miles from the Olympia VOR, 25 miles DME, and we shouldn't have any problems with that. Nothing else you need to do at this point. Okay, we're about to level off. 33 miles DME, so unfortunately I think there's some kind of bug in this check ride, because she will very probably tell us that we failed to level off at 28,000 feet, which we didn't. Now another thing that you shouldn't forget when you level off, switch the autopilot or the autothrottle from N1 to speed. Otherwise you'll just go in overspeed. You don't want that, right? Okay. We're almost at 25 miles DME from the Olympia VOR. Now if you follow the 1 to 3 rule, 28,000 minus 22,000 is 6,000. 6 times 3, 18, right? And if you give a 5 mile buffer or a margin, you should descend right now. So that's 22,000, and vertical speed of 2,500 should get us there nicely. I'm going to reduce our speed already to 245 knots, 235 knots rather, because there's no point in really flying fast at this point, and also if you decrease our speed, we decrease our turning radius, and that will be helpful to intercept the Pain VOR at the assigned course of 003. So at this, no, it's too soon, but yeah, so far so good. And I guess we can have a look outside for the time being and enjoy the visuals. It's always nice to take a little break. You can also go ahead and tune nav1 standby to the Pain VOR frequency, which is 110.6. Sorry, I use decimal because I'm European. If you're in America, it's 110.6. Yeah. Almost 1,000 feet to go. And we're nicely ahead of schedule, so no issues there. Back to our nice 2D cockpit, which is easier to control the autopilot in this view. That's why I use it for this check ride, you know. Now let's switch to heading select, so we don't chase the needle, because we're getting very close to the Olympia VOR, and when the needle starts deflecting, we can go ahead and turn. Well, actually, we'll wait for her to tell us that we didn't level off and that we're doing okay so far, and then we'll turn.
You did not level off at 28,000 feet before 25 DME from the Olympia VOR. You've done well so far on this flight. Your clearance now is to cross the Olympia VOR at flight level 220, then fly the 003 degree course to the Pain VOR. Cross the Pain VOR at 3,000 feet. Then, fly the 339 degree course outbound from the VOR.
Okay, so we need to tune our radius at this point to the pane VOR. Here you go, it's 110.6 as we discussed, and we set the course 003. And I think either I have a bug or it's because I updated my nav aids. I'm out of range of the pane VOR over here, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull up my GPS so I can see how far I am from the pane VOR. Okay, so I just do direct to pane VOR, activate, so we can see that we are at 56 miles away from it. And if we do the 1 to 3 rule quickly, it's 22 minus 3, because we want to cross the VOR at 3,000 feet. So that's 19. 19 times 3, that's 57. So we're already behind schedule. So just go ahead and start descending to the 3,000 feet. And a vertical speed of, yeah, I don't know, 2,500. This might even be, how they say, it's conservative. We shouldn't need so much, but that's fine. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and increase the simulation rate again a little bit, because otherwise it will get boring. Pay attention to your airspeed. So remember that below 10,000 feet, you need to be below 250 knots. So you can control that with the vertical speed, because our throttle, if you look here, it's already at idle. Well, you could also use speed brakes, but you know, if you're cheap, you want to avoid the speed brakes as much as possible. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But anyways, it looks like we're not going to have any problems with that, and hopefully we should be coming up in range with the pane VOR. We are at 40 miles, so hopefully, there you go. So we're still a bit to the left, so let's keep flying with this heading of 012. Why 012, you might ask? Because she has a tolerance of 10 degrees for your course, so you shouldn't exceed either 013 or 353. Yes, 353. So now we're perfectly aligned. We can go ahead and turn on our VOR lock and just follow it all the way to the pane VOR. So we're coming up below 10,000 feet. Usually we should turn on our landing lights, but as we didn't turn them off, we don't need to do this. Good. Airspeed is still below 250 knots. It's perfect. Let's check our 1 to 3 rules. So we have 7,000 feet to go. 7 times 3, that's what, 21. So yeah, we're right on schedule. We can actually decrease our vertical speed a little bit, just to make sure we don't exceed the 250 knots, which would be very bad at this point. Well, it's not the end of the world. We would still make it, but we want to make this as flawless as possible, right? There you go. Now this part is not very interesting. I guess we can look outside just for a little bit, using our virtual cockpit. Looking good so far, looking good. So we should start seeing pain fields. Look at that. Yeah, so as I said, I'm an European, and unfortunately Europe is definitely not as detailed as the US. You can even see the Space Needle over there from Seattle. I've actually seen it in real life. I've been to Seattle once. I went to the US twice, once to Seattle and once to Boston to work. Interesting experiences, both of them. So, leveling off at 3,000 feet, well ahead of schedule. Go ahead and switch to this mode, and we can go ahead and switch back our simulation rate to normal, because we can take this opportunity to tune our Nav1 standby radio to the ILS frequency, which is 109.3. We can leave it there. Let's zoom in a little bit. We can quickly check the ILS chart as well. So RITTS is, I don't know, would be nice to see the DME from RITTS, which is 7.9. 7.9 DME from the Pain VOR. Very well. Now just a little bit of patience, and she should tell us that we were just perfect. Let's switch to heading select. Yeah, without wind, that shouldn't be a problem. Now we wait for her to tell us that everything went well, and we will need to turn left to a heading of 339er. Also not a bad idea to reduce speed to 220 knots. As soon as she passes.
You're continuing to do well on this flight. You're now cleared to fly the published ILS runway 16 right approach into Paine Field. Maintain 3,000 feet until established on the ILS.
Perfect, right? So now we need to turn left. Heading of, well, I'll put 349er for now. Let's tune in the course of 339er here. Outbound this time. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch this to the NDB, because we're going to basically, this is the RITTS intersection that we see in our chart. It's that NDB over there, and we want to cross it. We want to cross just above it. So we started our turn a bit too late. But you know, we have that 10-degree tolerance, so we should be fine. There you go. And what did we say? It was 7.9 DME. good. Let's keep tracking the radial or the course. Outbound. But you know, don't chase the needle too much, because remember the 10-degree tolerance. Should be fine right there. Now I'm going to tune in RITTS here just to make sure of how far we are. 1 mile, so we should start turning left immediately, actually. And we turn left to a heading of 294, as in the charts. We can decrease our speed to 200 knots. As soon as we level off, we start our timer. There you go. When it reaches within 3 degrees of our course, we start our timer. And now, very important, we need to tune the ILS frequency. There you go. And we dial the course in, which is 159er. Set the course here. 159er. Okay. Now we have 1 minute to just enjoy the visuals, I guess. We should start our turn to the right to course 1. What is it? Let me double check. 114 at 1 minute 15. So between 1 minute and 1 minute and a half. So that's about now. Turn right, course 114. And I also like decreasing speed to 180 knots at this point. Right? There you go. Flaps to 5 degrees. Now I'm controlling speed manually. Or should I say I'm controlling the throttle manually. Trying to maintain 180 knots. I'll switch this to the airport view. Zoom out a little bit. Zoom out a little bit so we can see the paint field where we're going to land. Okay, and when we start leveling off, we can I'm going to lower the landing gear. I'll switch on the speed hold switch again and start lowering the flaps, because she wants us to have flaps 30 by the time we reach RITTS, and we also want to intercept the inbound course without full needle deflection. So let's start turning right away. should start seeing the needle move towards the center soon. There you go. I'll turn on the approach mode, and we're looking good. With the gear down, you can set your auto brakes to anything you like above 1. I'm just gonna go ahead and set it to 3. And we also want to arm our speed brakes. We're coming up on the glide slope. We can start reducing our speed to our final approach speed, which will be 154 knots. There's the outer marker, so we're above RITTS at this point. And also extend full flaps. I think everything is configured properly, so we can go ahead and have a look outside. Enjoy the views a little bit. We've been working hard, we deserve it. I'll even reduce this a little bit. Okay, we're almost done. I'm going to switch the autothrottle off and turn the autopilot off. And yeah, now we're flying manual. You just have to aim towards the runway and land this thing. I think this would be a lot more interesting if we could do this properly with real weather, and I'll try to record a video doing that, but you know, what we have. So when you're above the threshold, go ahead and set the autothrottles to idle, flare a little bit, and that's it. Reverse thrust. 70 knots, disengage the thrust reversers, and just let the airplane come to a halt, and we made it.
You did not initiate the procedure turn to 339 degrees after crossing the Payne VOR. You did not maintain your assigned altitude of 3,000 feet. You did a pretty good job of flying this check ride. You exceeded no more than 2 parameters in the criteria listed in the briefing, which are passing marks. You may print and display the ATP certificate proudly.
Okay, well, there's a couple of bugs there. You might have seen that we didn't lower our landing gear, which is ridiculous. And she said we didn't turn to the assigned heading of 339 after paying. So I guess we took, like I said, yeah, we took a little too long to start our turn to heading 339. You know, maybe advice to you, as soon as she passes you here, start turning to heading 339 and maybe set to heading, I don't know, 348, 347, so you can still intercept the outbound course, which we did here nicely. And I don't know what her problem is with the 3,000 feet. Probably another bug there, or maybe her tolerance margins are too low. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's helpful. And if you have any requests, if you would like to see anything else, or if you need some more help, just let me know in the comments, and I'll try to help you as well as I can. Okay, I'll see you next time, and have a good one. See ya. Good luck.